RB Leipzig won, Manchester City won in, let's be honest, a very entertaining game of two very different halves in Germany. As always, let me know your thoughts on the match in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear it. And if you're new around and you love football related content, this is the place. Make sure you subscribe down below for regular match reactions. So as I said, it was a game of very two different halves. I think in the first half, Man City absolutely dominated. They were back to their best after disappointing draw against Forest. They were dictating possession, on the ball, free-flowing, although Haaland was not getting a lot of touches, but that's not really different to how it's been a lot of this season. And they did take the lead through Riyad Mahrez in a really smart finish. Leipzig, poor, sloppy in possession, gave the ball away, then Grealish through to Gvardiol, who basically dummied it, through to Mahrez, and a smart finish into the corner to give Man City a deserved lead. But RB Leipzig were not at the races whatsoever in that first half, man. They were not getting near any Man City bodies. They were not breaking away in possession enough times, forming together any or stringing together any enough passes to get them forwards. It was a pure horror show from Leipzig in that first half. But in that second half, the substitution changed the game. Bringing Hendrik on for Klosterman changed the system up, and Leipzig were getting a lot of joy, and they really dominated that second half, and they deservedly got a goal back, man. They were free-flowing. Szoboszlai was getting on the football, Timo Werner was getting on the football, and good things started to happen when they threw a more attacking player on the pitch. Hendrik had all the space in the world on the flank, and he was exploiting it, man. And they did get their goal through. Let's be honest, one of their best players, Gvardiol, potentially could have a move in the summer to Liverpool, Chelsea. I know they're interested. He absolutely dunked on Ruben Diaz in this goal, man. Whipped in, just tall in the defender, leaped like a salmon to nod it into the back of the net. Man City players protesting for a foul. Absolutely no chance. He's just strong there. He wanted it more and put it into the back of the net to give Leipzig an equaliser. Now after that, both teams probably had to go, but a draw probably is a fair result because it basically highlights how the game went. The first half was all Man City, second half was all Leipzig, a draw. Honours even, taking it back to the Ethiad in about, let's be honest, 3 weeks' time. Man City, how they will look at it is, they would have wanted more from the game, and it's still definitely in their hands. It still is advantage Man City, given they drew away from home, and it's basically a knockout, a one game tie at the Ethiad that would have taken that every day of the week. But the way the first half went in comparison to the second half, it paled. It paled in contrast, man. That was two completely different sides we're seeing from Man City, and it's basically just how their season's going. We've seen them be so clinical in seasons gone by. They've been dominating games from start to finish. But they look weak. They look jaded at times, Man City. They can't dominate a game from minute 1 to 90. And that's how it's been happening against Forest, where they took their foot off the gas for a little bit and Forest came through and equalised. In that second half, they were a shell of themselves. Haaland, that's another big talking point. Is this man making Manchester City worse? I've discussed this topic on my channel about a month or so ago, because I really do believe it, man. Every single game, the pundits discuss, oh, Haaland's not getting enough touches. The man looks bored up there. I'd be bored too. He's getting no service. He was throwing a strop at times in the game when Gundogan was picking up the football and not playing him through. Same with Grealish, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. If De Bruyne is not in that team, Haaland does not get adequate service, man. It's just the way it is. He's making the runs, but they're not giving him the ball whatsoever. And he's looking bored up there. He's looking very frustrated. I don't blame him. Maybe he has gone to the wrong football team. Maybe Haaland would have suited a team like Liverpool, for example, that plays a more counter-attacking, fast-flowing, incisive football game, rather than Man City, who like to dominate the possession, go left to right and break down teams via attrition rather than actually play direct football and get a goal in basically as quick passes as possible. So, how do you fix that? Pep Guardiola is speaking about how it's not Haaland's fault, the team needs to get him more involved. I think it is Guardiola's fault. I'll be completely honest. Haaland is not the player for him. And we've seen it this season. Haaland is not a Pep Guardiola player. Pep Guardiola player, if he wants to play and suit Haaland's needs, he needs to change everything he's built about football. Everything, his whole philosophy has to change. Because his philosophy is not to play quick to Haaland. Because that's what Haaland needs. Haaland needs quick service straight away. They will score a goal in 2-3 passes. Literally just bang, straight through the middle and Haaland will score. But that's not what suits Guardiola. Guardiola likes to play beautiful football. Many passes, 20, 30 passes for the balls in the back of the net. He likes to break down teams like that. Mentally just wear them down through all the passing. That doesn't suit Haaland. He would have kept Jesus. That would have been the better option. Aguero even. But no, he's bringing in Haaland. Why is he bringing in Haaland? No, he's brought him in for Champions League nights. Because at the end of the day, Haaland scores goals. And we saw in seasons gone by Man City, they will dominate the Premier League. But in one-off games against the teams like Real Madrid, who we saw yesterday, never lie down and die. You need a goal scorer up front. You need someone that, no matter if it's a scrappy game or a free-flowing game, will get you goals. And that is exactly Haaland, and that's what he will bring. He didn't bring that today necessarily, and he had a couple of good chances, to be fair. But in the knockout games that will further come, provided Man City do get through this tie, which I still do expect them to do so, Haaland will come in use then. Because it's not every game Man City will dominate the ball. And it's not every game they'll want to dominate the ball in that sense where they're passing left, right, free-flowing football like that. They will need times where they're just clinical, where it's just route one stuff and Haaland just puts it away. Because he can be that striker. He's got many facets to his game. But trying to mould him into a playmaking striker is not getting the best use out of Haaland. And look, it might take a year, and maybe next year we'll see Haaland and Pep Guardiola and Man City click, and it'll be absolutely liquid football. But it will take an adaptation period. And maybe other teams need to take advantage while Man City are in that adaptation period. So a quick word on RB Leipzig. I think in that first half, I was like, what is this team, man? I saw a stat that's saying they'd only lost 1 in the last 26. They were playing really well. And to be fair, they've got a good team, man. Like, even bringing Nkunku off the bench. We know he's going to Chelsea in the summer, but he's a top player. But that first half was poor. Like, by all accounts, very, very poor. Second half, they stepped up and they showed why they're actually a decent football team. Getting on the football, pressing. They stopped being afraid of Man City. And I think they need to start the second leg like that as well. Start the second leg in the same system. Don't play that system you played in the first half, man, because Man City completely ripped them apart. Play on the front foot. Play more attacking and take the game to Manchester City because you will have a chance this year. Man City are not the same City team we've seen from years gone by. They will give you a chance. I think Leipzig will have a good chance there. I think the game at the Ethiad in 3 weeks' time will be absolutely brilliant to watch. I think it will be, honestly, a great game, man. It's poised perfectly because City have not been like undefeatable, invincible recently. And we know Leipzig can pose a threat on the counter-attack with their pacey players like Timo Werner and Szoboszlai potentially pulling the strings. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent game, man. I can't lie. When City took the lead, I was thinking, it's going to be a bit of a blowout. But Leipzig pulled it back and they look really decent and it sets up a really good second leg. As always, let me know your thoughts on the match in the comment section down below. Let me know your predictions. Do you still believe Man City will go through as I do? Or do you think Leipzig will pull off a shock and knock City out of the Champions League in the round of 16? And as always, if you're new around and you love football-related content and match reactions, this is the place for me. Make sure you subscribe down below on my road to 2,000 subscribers. I want my football hope to see you all in my next video.